Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the third part of my three-part Why Not series, as we look at Jermall Charlo and why Canelo Alvarez may not fight him in the next fight. Charlo is part of a three-man group of whiny fighters that are calling Canelo out, and they have a little group of fans that think Canelo's ducking their fighter. And I think it's a complete fucking joke for all three of them. David Benavidez, I did a video on him, go back and watch it. Demetrius Andrade, I did a video on him, go back and watch it. Jermall Charlo is the biggest joke of these three fighters, though. And I'll tell you why. Because all three of these guys, I believe, if they really want to earn the Canelo fight, should fight each other. And then whoever's still standing when the smoke clears, I think really has legitimacy, because you have to take risky fights in order to be great. That's just the tale is as old as time right there. You have to take fights that are risky in order to be great. And unlike Benavidez and Andrade, Charlo has had the opportunity to take those risky fights, and he's not taking them. He's had the opportunity to fight guys in the PBC or branch out and be the A side of a fight, like a fight with Andrade, and he's completely avoided it. Completely avoided it. He really only wanted two guys at middleweight. He wanted Triple G or Canelo. And he keeps us just hanging on that he's good enough by fighting somebody credible, every now and then, to keep you going, damn, this guy's good. But now it's old already. It's a tired, lame excuse. And now people want to see him really test himself. And so there's a lot of his fans who have been fans of his for years want to see him get a crack, thinking he's deserving when he really isn't. Because let's look at his resume for a second. Outside of, when he first won his first world title, I think that was 2016, he knocked out K9 Bundridge, a 37, 38-year-old, I think at the time. Kind of a transitional champion, really wasn't a big name. Somewhat. He had a fun style. He's can hit with power. Was in a couple interesting fights, but nothing special. And Charlo went out there and knocked him out. Okay, no surprise there. If Charlo was on that next level, he should have destroyed K9, and he did. But that whole reign was just kind of lackluster, which, hey, he was still young and coming up. Then he took on Austin Trout, who was a veteran, been around, still a legitimate fighter. He got a kind of an uneventful decision. Nobody really argued that he won the fight, but I think people wanted to see him dominate a guy like Trout, but he didn't. Nobody really gave him too much shit over it. It was kind of a learning experience. Trout has one of those styles that's kind of built to make you look bad. He was still legitimate at the time, so people kind of gave him a pass. Then he fought, at the time, Julian J-Rock Williams. J-Rock hadn't done shit prior to that. And he went out there, it was a big shit-talking matchup, 2 undefeateds. He knocked out J-Rock impressively. And people want to say now, and it's probably legit, that was the biggest win of his career. Okay, because J-Rock in 2019 or 2018, 2018, he came out and pulled off a major upset over Jarrett Hurd to capture the unified 154-pound title. So everybody went, well, that shows you how good Charlo is. Really? Does it? Because what did J-Rock do after that? He got the shit beat out of him by Jason Rosario, who has since gotten the shit beat out of him against Jermall's younger brother, Jermell. and then Erickson Lubin. So maybe Jarrett Hurd was overlooking J-Rock that night, and J-Rock just had a good night. You know, is that possible? Maybe. Yeah, I think it is. And J-Rock since then hasn't done shit. So, okay, that's the biggest win, questionably, arguably, of Jermall Charlo's career. After the 2 wins there at 154 over Austin Trout and J-Rock Williams, he moved up to middleweight and ended up becoming the champion because Canelo had bigger fish to fry in different divisions instead of taking a meaningless fight against Jermall Charlo at the time. Charlo to be honest, he hadn't really beaten anybody significant. He took on Matt Korobov as a replacement opponent, struggled with him. Korobov was kind of it was okay. That was an okay win for Charlo, but he didn't dominate him by any means. There's a big community of people that thought Korobov won that fight. But then there wasn't too much argument. But then in 2020, he signed on to take on Sergey Derevyanchenko. And he went out there and probably, in my opinion, maybe the most complete performance of his career. Dominated Derevyanchenko and beat him by a convincing decision. Okay, that was impressive. I'll give you that. But since then, in 2021, he took on Juan Montiel. Nobody struggled with him a little bit. But people want to look at the win over Derevyanchenko as an oh my god type win. Was it though? Oh, I already know the argument. Oh, well, Danny Jacobs and Triple G, they fought Derevyanchenko and they struggled against Derevyanchenko. Okay, I'll give you that. Could it be, just quite possibly, that first off, Danny Jacobs didn't struggle with Derevyanchenko. I thought he beat him convincingly. You know, Derevyanchenko kept coming forward, kept fighting hard. But could it be that Danny Jacobs was overlooking Derevyanchenko because Derevyanchenko was pretty much a nobody? And nobody really made a big fuss about that fight. It was scored a split decision, but people treated it as Danny Jacobs was a deserving winner without question. So it's not like people were clamoring saying, oh my god, he almost beat Danny Jacobs. You know why? Because he didn't. Then Triple G rolled into that fight, fighting for the vacant title. He had to fight Derevyanchenko. He had no choice. So it's not like he chose him. He had no choice, but Triple G was like, okay, I got this. And then he got the flu. And then he put him down early and probably got overconfident and overexhausted himself trying to knock him out. And then got gassed in the second half of the fight. Wow, who did Triple G else do that? Who else did he do that against? Danny Jacobs. Put him down in early, third, fourth round. Then gassed himself out trying to knock him out, and he struggled in the second half, but still got a decision. You know, maybe, just maybe, Jermall Charlo was the first of those 3 that knew exactly the kind of opponent that he was getting in the ring with. Maybe he didn't overlook Derevyanchenko, which, hey, that's their fault, Triple G and Daniel Jacobs. I understand that. But does that mean Charlo is better than Triple G or Daniel Jacobs because he didn't overlook the guy and make that mental mistake? Okay. But, again, you're going to tell me Sergey Derevyanchenko, who lost the fight since then, mind you, he just lost to Carlos Adames. So he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights now. Granted, he's fought world-class competition, but he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights. You're going to tell me Sergey Derevyanchenko, a win over him, or a win over Julian J-Rock Williams back when Julian J-Rock Williams didn't matter? You're going to tell me wins over those 2, even if you want to roll Austin Trout into that? You're going to tell me that kind of resume warrants a showdown with Canelo Alvarez? Wow, I think that's a very fucking weak argument. Because, to be honest, I think of all the current challengers that are on the radar for Canelo right now, we're talking Dimitri Bivol, we're talking Arthur Beterbiev, we're talking David Benavidez, and who else now has come out? Demetrius Andre, and Jermall Charlo, and Triple G. It's a little 6-pack there. I think the absolute easiest opponent for Canelo is Charlo, which is why I want him to fight Charlo, because Charlo did not earn his name on his own merit. The boxing world is very excited, and they should be, that two twin brothers have been able to accomplish so much in the ring. So he's done it with the help of his brother. He's built his name with the help of being a twin, not what he's done in the ring. Because what he's done in the ring is not too impressive. His brother's done more. You know, Jermall has done more. And, you know, he's just reaping the rewards of what he and his brother have accomplished together. And that's made him a more, you know, likely option and marketable fight. And, you know, hey, again, if I had to choose Canelo's next fight, it would absolutely be against Jermall Charlo. But not because Charlo's earned it, but because Charlo does have somewhat of a name, and Canelo is going to kick the shit out of Charlo with ease. So why not take that fight and get that money? Because I firmly believe Canelo's, what he needs to do is finish off the guys that are a threat at 160. Because he's at 168 and he wants to move up to 175 soon. So take on Charlo and Triple G have been the guys that I called for in 2022. Charlo and Triple G at 168, finish those guys off, move to 175. You're going to have a unified champion between Beterbiev and Joe Smith, likely Beterbiev, and you're still going to have an undefeated fighter that you can make a fight with Dimitri Bivol. And next thing you know, Undisputed is around the corner at 175. And David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade possibly have fought each other at this point, or they're both competing at 168, and when you move to 175, they move to 175 going after you. That is a very good timeline of fights to take on. But right now, Canelo's kind of in a rock and a hard place, because both DAZN and PBC Showtime, they want to offer Canelo a 2-fight package. So we've already heard that DAZN and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom have offered Canelo a 2-fight deal worth between $85 and $100 million for him to fight Dimitri Bivol at 175 in his next fight, and then take on Triple G in a third fight in September. And he'll get incentives on top of that, likely. And then I've also just read today that the PBC and Showtime have offered Canelo $50 million per fight, plus pay-per-view, plus the gate, all thrown in. So he's going to make between $100 and $150 million for 2 fights, Charlo and then Benavidez in the second half of the year. Those are very lucrative fights, but it's not the fights Canelo wants one after the other. Now, you know, if Canelo wants to take one fight at a time, and he might be able to do that. He might. But if Canelo wants to be realistic and fight in his time frame of May and September because of the Mexican holidays, that's why he's being offered 2 deals like that, because they want, that's too little of a time to promote a fight. That's why last year the fight with Caleb Plant waited until November, because Canelo was trying to lock down an opponent, negotiate, and he's got to hype the fight as well. And that 4 months is just not enough time to do that. So, and to train and to get ready for it. So Canelo, if he's going to fight one fight at a time, he's going to be allowed to do that. He's the cash cow. These networks will allow him to do that. So if he wants to go Charlo to Triple G, it's probably going to be 1-fight deals, upwards to $40-50 million easy. And he can do that, 1-fight deals. But if he takes the 2-fight deals, maybe Charlo, Benavidez, then he finishes Triple G off in the first half of next year, and then boom, light heavyweight title after that. Maybe we'll have an undisputed champion at that point at light heavyweight. But, you know, it just depends on how Canelo wants to handle business here. But that's the thing. Jermall Charlo has not earned the fight. He he might get lucky enough to get the fight because of him and his brother's combined work. And I'm sorry, he's on the lesser part of that. And we'll see what happens. But Charlo has been a big bitch. He's avoided the fight with Demetrius Andrade that could earn him the Canelo fight. He backed out after opening his mouth on social media. He backed off of a showdown with David Benavidez that a win there could earn the fight with Canelo. But he doesn't want to risk that because, to be honest, I don't think he has any confidence that he'll beat either one of those guys. And that's going to ruin a Canelo fight after that. So he might be lucky enough. Canelo might call his number. But has he earned this fight? People ask, why not Jermall Charlo? Well, I just gave you the fucking answer. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.